Let's talk some sports, baby.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today. As a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? A little Saturday morning edition of the show. Halloween, full moon, all kinds of stuff going on. What's up?
Yep, special Saturday morning edition. A lot of football action to get to. Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's talk some sports, baby. You know what it is. Happy Halloween, all the listeners, all the viewers. Pull up a seat. You know we got to speak. Let's roll, baby.
Something about treats and sorry. Anyway, in episode 12, the NFL trade deadline approaches. Maury and D'Antoni find new jobs, and we preview the full slate of football action this weekend. But we begin tonight with today with a look back on Thursday Night Football. The Atlanta Falcons tried something new and didn't blow a lead this time, holding on to a 25-17 victory over division rival Carolina. Julio Jones led the Falcons to 137 receiving yards. Matt Ryan didn't throw a touchdown, but he kept the chains moving, and the Falcons defense turned in their best effort of the season. Carolina was driving late, and it seemed like another possible Falcons collapse, but interception of Bridgewater with a minute left sealed the deal. The Falcons improved to 2-6, and they're looking to finish the season strong, while the Panthers slipped to 3-5 as they continue to rebuild. So, Drink, what did you take away from this game on Thursday?
Well, I guess it brought up a question for me. Didn't it feel, when you watched this game, didn't it feel like the Atlanta Falcons played with more energy, more gumption? It felt like they was more into playing football down there now that Dan Quinn has cleared out his desk and he's out of the picture? Mm-hmm. Or was that just me?
I noticed it. Defense especially, yeah.
All right. So all in all, I mean, this was Carolina Panthers. I'm not gonna sit here and act like they, beat somebody, a top tier team or something. But I just felt like Atlanta played better. They had more want to, and that was a sample of what this team could have been and probably should have been from the beginning of this season before what happened. And so my problem is I think Atlanta is going to play themselves into a bad situation here because Matt Ryan, for all intents and purposes, he's too good to let you falter like the Jets, but he's not good enough to take you to the next level. Like his next level is gone. He's just a good veteran quarterback at this point. And winning games like that only going to put you in the middle of the first round, end of the first round, something like that. So you won't really have the opportunity to get that franchise quarterback that you want because the quarterback you got now is at the bottom of the barrel. So when I seen that also made me wonder, where does that put Matt Ryan's future as far as, would teams trade for him? I know Jay threw out a scenario like the Cleveland Browns, for example. Could he not make the Cleveland Browns better? Absolutely. I do think he's close to the end. I think he's going to need one of those Phillip Rivers deals. But at the end of the day, I thought the Falcons showed us a glimpse of what they could have been. Over to Carolina, we know what Carolina is. They're a rebuild. They're the definition of rebuild. If you open up the dictionary, you look at rebuild, you go to Carolina Panthers. Everything brand new, plastic still on the seats. You got it. But I think they're coming into their own as you watch them play. Even without their biggest star on the team, they still make themselves a competitive team. You can't just go in there and not have a game plan. The defense seems to start stepping it up. I like what I see with the offense. They just play like a team that's in a rebuild, in my opinion. I wasn't too down on it, and I wasn't too up on it. I thought they did about as much as you want a team that's in their current situation would do. So all in all, I think the Falcons showed that they're better than their record have shown. And I think Carolina has shown that they have some pieces to build on for the future. So I thought it was a good matchup. Probably wasn't the best Thursday night football game, but a good matchup nonetheless. So those was a few things that I took away from that game.
Yeah, these are probably the two bottom tier teams in the NFC South. I don't think coming in we expected a whole lot from either team in the grand scheme of things. When you look at Atlanta off the cuff, obviously a good win for them. I think there's something to be said for getting a little boost when you finally get rid of a lame duck head coach, as Drake mentioned, and Dan Quinn. So you got Raheem Morris in there. He's got a pretty good degree of experience. I think the point about the defensive energy, I think that's absolutely right. I think it absolutely showed up. I think that was their best performance of the season. So it's a good thing for them. But in the grand scheme of things, in terms of, they look like a team that's about to embark on what the Panthers are doing right now. They look like they're primed for a rebuild. When you talk about Matt Ryan at the age of 35, guys, obviously he can still play. But since the Super Bowl season where they lost to the New England Patriots, it's been a pretty average show. Despite the fact that you have one of the best quarterback wide receiver combinations, that you come in this offseason, you bring in Todd Gurley, another guy possibly who has, we've seen the best of Todd Gurley. His best days are behind him. So there's a lot of things I think that would indicate that it may be at some point very quickly, it may be a time where you have to do something to start that rebuild process, as painful as it may appear to be. And it's probably definitely something that the owner down there, Arthur Blank, isn't going to want to embark upon. The problem is, if you look at Matt Ryan's contract, we were talking about this a little bit ago. I don't know how easy it would be to move off of him, and what the trade value would be, and what the compensation you get in return. Because it's just not something you see every day. When you don't see quarterbacks move around like that. But I will say, when you look at this deal, the dead cap hit, it's pretty hard to swallow until 2023. Coming next season, it's going to be $50 million. The year after, $26 million. I think they've got a potential out after the 2021 season. So to me, it's kind of you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place if you're the Atlanta Falcons. So they may just have to ride out with Matt Ryan for this season and next, and then maybe try to move off. For Carolina, I think even with this loss, I think there's a lot to like about what Carolina's doing. I think Matt Rule's doing a fine job down there so far. I was a bit skeptical of what he may bring, but I think he's doing a fine job. I think Teddy Bridgewater's done a good job. And I think Cody can speak to a little bit as well. I think he's got some ideas for one Mr. Joe Brady. But this offense looks to be clicking and moving quite well. And it's something to be said, especially when they've been without the services of Christian McCaffrey for an extended stretch. Mike Davis has done a nice job filling in for him. I think DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, I brought this up, that's the best wide receiver combination Carolina has had in many, many years, especially when you look at what Cam Newton had at his disposal during his tenure in Carolina. And then Curtis Samuel, he's definitely a plus when you look at their third wide receiving option. He's capable of doing some things in the running game for you as well. And defensively, they're nothing dominant, but they're not as bad as they were last year. And the defensive overhaul, when you talk about what they did in the draft, just completely overhauling that defense. You get a guy who could be a cornerstone for you in Derek Brown. So I think there's a lot to like about what the Carolina Panthers are doing, even in a losing effort. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, as far as 2020, I don't think either of these teams are going to be all that relevant as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, y'all summed it up pretty well. I think we look at the Falcons. Obviously, they are stuck in that weird spot where they don't strike you as a team that, would be like a pure, like, prime rebuild candidate, but yet they do look like in several metrics are coming up to that wall. But they did sign, guys like Dante Fowler in the offseason. They made some offseason moves, Todd Gurley, et cetera. They tried to, they really were trying to go into the season with a winning approach, and it just kind of didn't work. Dan Quinn gets fired. But I think that just like last year, that you're looking at this team and they're trying to say, hey, we're better than this. We're better than this record says. And obviously any team in the NFL, you can play that game of, well, if we had that one touchdown and we had that one play and we had that one penalty, we could be X, Y, or Z. And it's like, yeah, but you're not. So it's cool. But I mean, if there was ever a team that can make the case of, hey, we've had some pretty tragic letdowns, and if we didn't have those, the Atlanta Falcons could be a 500 team or even maybe 5-3 or something like that. I mean, they could be or 5-2 or something. They could be a better team, than what they look like right now. With this offense that can definitely score. I mean, they can move the ball, no doubt about it. And this defense that I think finally put it all together. I mean, this defense doesn't seem like they should be as bad as they've been. And you really saw last night, they were flying around. They were where they needed to be. They were making plays. They knew what their assignments were. Like, they played obviously their best game of the season. So, you look at the Falcons schedule coming up, they get basically the Saints twice, the Bucks twice, and they play the entire AFC West. So, not exactly a cakewalk by any stretch. So, I don't know if this little, kind of a high up they got going on is going to last much longer. But they are also, like you said, they're kind of playing themselves out of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes at this point, in the full rebuild sweepstakes. But at the same time, they're going to find themselves probably picking in the end of the top 10. And it's going to be sort of an awkward spot. So we'll see how they navigate that. But I think that all along we knew the Atlanta Falcons had a little more potential, and they showed it last night, but a little too late in my opinion. And then you look at the Panthers. I thought the Panthers looked pretty good despite the loss. I think they're pretty well coached. I think Matt Rule's done a very good job in year one so far. He's proven that he's going to – because, a lot of people kind of clown the Matt Rule signing. They were like, hey, this guy's first-time head coach. Is he really going to be all that? After his, pretty quick rise. And Joe Brady was in the same boat of he's been pretty much in a meteoric rise with, obviously he coached that LSU offense to what they did in 2019. And if you were anyone last night watching as a fan of a team that was getting ready to get a new head coach, your eyes were on Joe Brady and what he was going to do for that offense. And I thought they looked good in stretches, but no DJ Moore until the 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, I don't know where he was the whole game. You can tell they still miss Christian McCaffrey. I know we like to make these narratives of, oh, they're so much better. Like, are they better without this player or that player? And it's like, no, they're not. They're not better without Christian McCaffrey. It's nonsense, But they're managing to make it work without him, which is a testament to the coaches. And I thought Teddy Bridgewater was a little surprising. I thought he was. I think I liked some things what I saw about him, but he definitely struggled, But I can tell why he was the fifth leading passer coming into the game. It just, the Falcons played well. I think at the end of the day, you just look at it and the Falcons played a better game. But the Panthers, you feel like are in good hands going forward. Derek Brown had his best game of the year, and they got a lot of young talent on that defense. It's got to have time to come together. So, they get that going. And I think the Panthers, the arrow definitely will be pointing up despite the loss. It's just they're going to be at least a year out from, making it work.